Hi, everyone. This is a beautiful spring day that I wanted to share some thoughts with you, like yesterday, about homeschooling and about the things of life. And today, I have enjoyed the day so much. Even last night, there was a beautiful sunset, and maybe I'll put my pictures on that I had from last night shortly. But today is such a beautiful day, a day with hope in it, a day that is so bright and cheerful. And I just thank the Lord for that. And but today I am going to talk about several things about adversity and what it brings to us that is positive. And I've heard many of these texts that come out on Facebook are saying, oh, we've never had anything like this before. Oh, this is the first time anything horrible has happened. Oh, no. That is not true. And I wanted to share a few of our stories that we remember in our life. In the 1940s and 50s, when we were born in the 1940s and leading into the 50s when we grew up, then there was a polio epidemic and everybody was in threat. I mean, they were telling people not to go here, there, yonder, not to what to do. You know, they were doing that back then too. And they were even telling, I don't want any children on the street in the middle of the day. All of them have to be home resting. And I went out there one day and it was like there was nobody to be seen, which was kind of eerie. But we had restrictions back in those days. The old, the young were dying of polio. They were being crippled by polio. And that was definitely a dark tunnel. And so we have had these things. And also from the 40s and the 50s, we've had the Cold War with Russia, which was something that really turned my life around. And God spoke to me even as an 8-year-old child in various ways about the war with Russia, which led to us going to Russia many years later. And so those are the things that we've had in our lifetime. And we went to Kyrgyzstan one time, and that was when the SARS epidemic was going on, and we landed in Azerbaijan. And they had masks on, they had suits on, they corralled us in one area and told us that we could not go to the restroom without even having permission, and that we had to stay corralled in that one place. And so I did venture out because I had to go to the bathroom really bad. And I asked the guard, the only language I had to talk to him was Russian. So I asked him in Russian, may I please go to the bathroom? And he told me back, if I don't come back in a few minutes, they're going to come looking for me. So I made sure I was back in a few minutes. But, you know, we've had these various things from time to time. But we have to respond properly to these things. Fear is not what we need to get into. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear when you know the Lord, because no matter what happens, whether he takes us home or whether we're left on this earth, it's going to be good. And so I wanted to share with you a little more that we need to have positive attitudes. God means for us to have our thoughts set on the true, the noble, the just, the pure, the lovely, or anything that has a good report. So those are the things we're to meditate on. Those are the things that we're to set our minds on. And so let's get into this a little bit more. We're going to, I'm going to tell you a few more stories. They're in Russia, when we were in Russia in the winter time, I wanted to let you know that it was very overcast all the time in the winter. The bright sun never shone brightly in the winter. The sun would come up at 10 o'clock in the morning and it would set 2 or 3 in the afternoon, because that's where they are on the Earth's cycle. And but even when it was light out, it was looked like dusk. It always looked like dusk in the winter, and you had this freezing cold weather with it would even make your sinuses freeze. And but the thing what they told us to do to avoid getting depressed is go outside and sit for at least 20 minutes a day in the sunshine. So I wanted to tell you today, one way to have a good attitude is to get outside and do something good in this beautiful sunshine today. The breeze is blowing so nicely, and it is a wonderful day to do that. So, what do we do for homeschooling is what I want to get into now. Number one, if you're going to have a successful homeschooling program, you have got to set a schedule, a time to go to bed at night and a time to rise in the morning. You cannot stay up half the night, sleep half the day, and get your stuff done. So you have to have that schedule. And I mentioned this app yesterday about the free app called S'mores Up, which sets not only your subjects, you put in your chores, because parents always give your child chores to do around the house. That is very important that they share in the work around the house, particularly when they're home from school right now. But S'mores Up is found on flexiblehomeschooling.com. That's the name of the website. And also we parents, you need to be in charge of the schedule. You need to be in charge of the discipline. You've got to remember, children don't need a peer from their parents. They need discipline from their parents. Now, that's not to say that we're going to be harsh and unloving and unkind. No. We're to speak good words. We're to speak uplifting words. We're to give them positive thoughts in their mind and in their life, and encourage them in whatever victories, even the smallest ones, that they could ever have. Always praise your children, but you need to take charge of what the schedule is and when they do what. And so keep that in mind. Now, if you're homeschooling in the middle of the day, you're about to just pull your hair out. You just don't know what you're going to do, and the kids are getting rowdy. You know what? Hit the reset button. Just stop. Stop right there. Our youngest daughter, she says that she puts on the praise music, and they dance around the house to the praise music. And if they don't want to do that, she plays a little piggy dance with their toes. You know, like one little piggy went to market, one little piggy stayed home, one little piggy had roast beef, the whole thing. Anyway, little kids like doing silly things. So in other words, find some silly things to do. Or you can allow them to have 20 minutes on the computer with whatever they totally enjoy. You can also take them in the kitchen and make some cookies. That's a good reset button, but always come back within a reasonable length of time, say 20 minutes. That would be maybe a top. And then you're going to accomplish the rest of your school chores and give a reward, like that S'mores app that tells you how much time they do their subject, how much time to do their chores. so that if they get it done in that time period, they may have a reward at the end of the day, and make it be something that they truly enjoy. And that is a very good suggestion. I did not mention yesterday, there's a couple of things I didn't mention yesterday, that there are free trials for the next 3 to 4 weeks from what is called the Reading Egg and the ABC Mouse, which is for smaller children. And the Khan Academy, KAHN, is for the bigger children. And I will mention this product that we have gotten recently from Living on the Edge, from Chip Ingram. It's called Discuss This, and they are cards that have questions on them. And I'll read a couple of the questions. What 3 words would you choose to describe yourself, and why? I mean, even a small child could do that. This is one way that you get into the heart of your child. You find out what they're thinking, and also to find out what's in their heart, listen to their words. For the heart speaks out of the mouth. Whatever comes out of the mouth has come from the heart. So get them to describe themselves, maybe such at supper time. Maybe y'all can have a discussion when everybody's there. And you say, well, why do you describe yourself that way? Here's another one. If you only have one more day with someone you love, what would you do with them? What if tomorrow a loved one would be gone? What would you want to do? Well, let them tell you, and then tell them to go and do it, because you never know. No one has not even 1 second guaranteed in their life. We all could be gone before tomorrow. So do good today for somebody. Reach out to somebody today. And here's another one. What 3 things are most important to you? And listen to them. Even a young child can do this one. It says it's made for children 12 and up, but I even think it could go down further into the elementary with some of these questions. Even think my 6-year-old grandson could even answer some of these questions. So we, could try these little ones. What do you think about when you look at the stars at night? And, these are really, really good questions. And there's 50 of these questions in this. You look, livingontheedge.org. It's Chip Ingram that puts those out. So those are some of the things I did not mention yesterday. Also, YouTube is a great place to go and get help of all sorts, of all kinds of teaching, all kinds of various subjects. I want to share with you another thing that I want to leave you with. I want to tell you that some of the adversity in my life, like when I was between 19 and 20, I was in nursing school. And this was the summer of 1965. And The Sound of Music came out that summer. And that song, climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. A dream that will take all the love you can give every day of your life for as long as you live. That song resonated in my heart so much in that summer. And in that summer, what was happening was an adversity in my life. My grandmother had already died when I was 12, but she had friends, and 2 of the friends of my mother and my grandmother lived up the street from where we lived, and we were very close to them. they would make me clothes. Even as a teenager, they were making me clothes and giving me all kinds of things. And so they were adopted in my heart as my grandmother. And I was in nursing school, and at lunchtime, the students would be on the floor, and the nurses on my floor, two nurses left me as a 19-year-old student in charge of the floor. And this was a regular thing. And if anybody was going to die, because it was a geriatric floor, it seemed like they always died when it was lunchtime. So one day the lunchtime came, and my adopted in my heart grandmother, one of them, they brought her into the hospital not feeling well at all. And then the next day they went to lunch again. And on that next day, she died. She died in my arms. And that was the hardest thing ever for me. I called the doctor immediately. He was on the way, and I was even doing mouth to mouth because she was such a loved one of mine. And when he got to me, he touched me on the shoulder, and I looked up, and he shook his head no. And that just broke my heart, that I had to stand there and finish watching her die. So that was a very hard adversity in my life, and it turned me around because of the sound of music and that song. I really decided to go to my parents and ask if I could change my major. Since my family was teachers all the way down the line, my mother and dad were very, very happy that I would want to do that. So I ended up applying to the University of Georgia. Went up there in January 1966. And when I arrived up there, then it was, of course, winter, cold, and I had to really put my mind on my subjects. I had to really make good. And so I did no dating whatsoever. Well, there was this morning in May. It got to be May the 13th, 1966. And I will never forget that day. As long as I live, I'll probably even carry it into eternity with me. But that was the day that changed my life. When I got up that morning, I had no idea what that day was going to bring forth. We never know what day it is going to bring forth. So I was walking to class, and I had to go down the hill in the valley and back up to the other side, which was a very long walk. And there was a friend of mine who was a boy, but he was never a boyfriend. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, you know any good guys around here?" And I was 20 by this time. And he said, "Oh, let me think a minute." And he thought, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I know a good guy, and he's from Savannah, too," because he and I had gone to high school together in Savannah. And I said, "Oh, good, that's even better." And I said, "Well, how can I meet this guy?" And he thought again, and he said, "Oh, I've got a good plan for you. Tonight at 5 minutes to 7, you walk over to Snellen Hall, which is a cafeteria, catty corner across from my dorm." He said, "There'll only be one line open, and you go in that door. This boy will be standing behind the cash register at the other end, and the servers will be in the back, and he will come and serve your food for you." And he said, "Maybe he'll go eat with you too." And I went home that day. I took a bath. I put on my makeup. I put on the best color that I could ever think of. I dressed up so I would look wonderful. And going over there, my heart was beating as fast as it could. And I thought, am I going to meet my Prince Charming? Or is he just going to turn away and not give me the time of day? Well, I got there and I looked down the aisle, and there he was, just like he said. I looked down there, and this boy he blinked both eyes at me, and I go, what was that about? And I look back and he goes, he blinked again? I thought, well, maybe he has an eye problem. I don't know what his problem is. By that time, he was up there dishing out my food for me. And so I took it in there, and there was no one in the cafeteria. But within 5 minutes, there he was with his plate of food. And before he left that day, he had my phone number. Now, this was Tuesday, May the 13th, 1966. On Wednesday, he called me and asked me to go out Friday night. And I said, okay. And so we did. And Friday night, he said, well, why don't we go to breakfast on Saturday morning and play tennis right before that? I said, whoa, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So we did. And when he was taking me back to my dorm that day, he kept saying, when we get married, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, what? You know, I'd only met him on Tuesday and this was Saturday. And then he said again, when we get married, blah, 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 blah. By the time he said it the third time, I got so scared, I just ran into my dorm. And I didn't know what to think. I thought, boy, this guy is really moving fast. Well, I want you to know, within 7.5 months, we married, and we have been married over 53 years. In fact, this coming Christmas Eve will be 54 years. So I saw that adversity in the summer of 1965. It changed the plans in my life completely, and it put me on another course, which caused me to be where I needed to be so the Lord could show me who my life's mate would be. And so there is always, at some point, there is always a silver lining. You might not know all the reason why these adversities happen, but let me tell you, there's always a shining point in anything that is negative. So I want you to think positive today. Take control of your life and your children. You show them what they need to do and encourage them to obey. When children obey, that is the first commandment with promise that they will live a long life when they learn obedience. So take hold of the children and you look for the silver lining today. Cause them to make a list tonight. Get them to make a list. What are you thankful for today? What were the good things that you saw about today? And list good thing after good thing after good thing. And we will see you on Monday. I wanted to tell you that story because tomorrow is my sweetheart's birthday. I won't tell you how many, but it's been a lot. But anyway, tomorrow is his birthday, so I wanted to say something about him. So we will see you on Monday, and we will come with some more stories and some more ideas about what you can do to make your life brighter during this Corona time. Thank you very much, and I will see you on Monday.